top of the screen for you. There we go. We're about to get race 2 of the Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland underway here at the Norisring as the lights go out and away we go racing.
Very good start there from Conor De Filippi, the championship leader, at his first DNF of the season yesterday, starting from 9th position in the Porsche racing car, but a terrific start for Sven Muller. He's going to get the lead of the race here. Christian Engelhardt will squeeze into 2nd position. Michael Ammermuller has got 3rd place by the looks of things, so Christopher Zöchling isn't quite able to break into the top 3 yet, and thankfully, Dave, looks like they've all for the first time squeezed through the Grundig hairpin.
Absolutely remarkable. We wouldn't have bet on that, would we, earlier today? So Sven Muller then with a good start, and certainly didn't get mugged at the start of it as around goes car number 21, and also involved in that is Ola Nielsen, caught up behind that car there. You can see the yellow and blue number 11. That is Ola Nielsen, who is, well, effectively on that T-bone and stuck out there.
Yeah, they looked like Renault had a spin and then Nielsen had nowhere to go, I think. We'll see a replay of this. So there you go, right on cue. Well, what happened? Did he go on his own or was he helped? Coming out here. Well, hard to see from that angle, isn't it, whether he was helped along the way.
Well, certainly Renault was making some gestures to suggest that perhaps he was helped along his way, but there we are. Okay, so Muller from Engelhardt, then it's Ammermuller, and well, coming under some pressure there was Christopher Zöchling from Earl Bamber, and oh, there's a tug there. Yeah, from just at the tail end of the top 10, 1 and 2 drivers coming. De Filippi may have been tangled up in that one as well, the points leader. All 3 cars that got involved in it seriously delayed, and Van der Laar looks like he's out of action altogether in the number 65 car. Yes, it does. So that car is out. Here's a replay. Yep. That was quite a crunch into the corner, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was pushed out wide, and then I think probably broke the steering there, the way he turned straight into the wall. So Van der Laar out. After a been a pretty good start to the race for him. You see just how tight it is there. They're sort of 3 or 4 abreast, aren't they, in the middle of the pack there?
Yeah.
So 1 or 2 taking entirely evasive action and going right off the circuit to avoid the trouble.
Mistake there from Engelhardt.
Big mistake, yeah. He's lost a chunk of time there, hasn't he? Another one going straight on. That's from Johnson, isn't it? Going straight on down at the Grundig hairpin, so he'll lose a place or 2 as a result of that. It's the one place you can afford to go off, though, Dave, because there is at least a bit of runoff.
A little bit of runoff, isn't there? Yeah, so much spray being chucked up here, isn't there? Sean Johnston there, we just saw at the back of the picture, but this is our race leader, Sven Muller, who's got some 7/10 advantage over Christian Engelhardt. Christian Engelhardt making that mistake just a couple of moments ago.
Earl Bamber taking a tight line and a very wide line from Christopher Zöchling, and Zöchling, the turquoise and white car number 7, is going to lose a place. So after finishing on the podium yesterday, he's down to 5th. Earl Bamber might have got 2 places out of that. Let's have a look as they come back through. No, he didn't quite, but Zöchling now fighting back, Dave.
Yes, he is. So Christopher Zöchling, we saw from yesterday, is stiff of resolve, isn't he? And not prepared to give up without an absolute fight. So very close here. Around the hairpin they go. Zöchling not able to make it happen yet. You can just see how they're having to really feather that throttle, aren't they? Because the back end will just step out and they are so sideways.
Yeah, around the street circuit, which is only used for this event once a year. There's all sorts of changes in surface as well, from tarmac to concrete. We've
lost one of the Temto racing cars, that sort of matte blue colour. We saw it just disappearing into that runoff area. And guessing that was potentially Michel Gatti.
Yeah, let's have a look when they come back around, but no damage down the escape road and continued on. Just the field worked their way through. Alex Riberas looking pretty racy in, where is he at the moment? In 7th place. He had a calm race yesterday, had a bit of a quiet race yesterday, but he's now starting to catch this lead group. Go through. It was 0.4 seconds between Muller and Engelhardt in 2nd place last time around. The gap stays about the same. And Zöchling, this time, rather than defending today's race, attacking the race like he did yesterday, he's trying to defend, but not entirely successfully, as Philip Enger was able to come through. Still doesn't rejoin.
No. And that was...
No, is it Riberas?
No, I think that was the car that went off, but Philip Enger, the man that Zöchling did so well at defending yesterday, well, he just steamed past him, didn't he? So Philip Enger has moved up, and, well, he needs to do so because his position in the points championship on 74 points in P3. He wants to wrestle away as many points as he possibly can, Philip Enger. Muller, Engelhardt, then it's Ammermuller. per 4 of 35 here. 30 minutes left on the clock, but Engelhardt is certainly keeping with Sven Muller, isn't he?
He is, yeah. I think it was Burry that went off the attempt.
Maybe.
He's getting still 3/4 of the way at the field. So
Oh,
Muller goes very wide, makes a mistake down at the Grundy hairpin. There'll be a change of lead here. Christian Engelhardt gifted first position here, and it'll be a couple of lengths clear by the time they get to the Scholler S's. So we've got a new race lead up. Muller down to second. You get more opportunities to overtake. I mean, you can overtake in the dry round here. It's not a street circuit without its passing points, but in the wet, there's more margin for error. It's very easy to make a mistake. More cars run wide, and the gaps open up. And quite often, you see the moves coming on the way out of corners rather than on the way into corners. As we see a big moment there.
Iceman,
Patrick Iceman, yeah.
getting it really tangled up. Now that reinforces what I've been saying about the difference in the adhesion levels from tarmac as they go onto the paving slabs, and that really is also going around there is Sean Johnston.
Yeah, he's already had a moment down there, hasn't he? We locked up a couple of laps ago.
Iceman is that round pointing in completely the wrong direction. Now that's the second time that Iceman has been round.
Yeah, I think that was on his own that time. It looked like he's far enough in front of the car ahead not to have got nerfed. So there's the race leader, Christian Engelhardt, pulling away from Muller. It's Christopher Zöckling, the Austrian, British-based Austrian, in 6th place. Coming under pressure now from number 88, Alex Riberas, who came into this weekend 5th in the championship, but had a steady race yesterday, but nothing spectacular, and didn't pick up any points, down in 16th place.
No, in fact, his championship charged. He dropped a couple of places down to 7th, didn't he? But Alex Riberas now on the back of Christopher Zöckling. There's Riberas going through in the matte blue colours of Attempto Racing, who interestingly run double digits across all their cars, whether it be Antti Biri or Michel Gatting or indeed Alex Riberas that we've seen there. You were absolutely right. It was Antti Biri that we saw off into the runoff area. Michel Gatting is in P24.
This is a replay of the mistake that Muller made going into the Grundy hairpin a couple of laps ago. Just outbraked himself, locked up, and did the right thing. He didn't try to turn into that, otherwise he'd have lost the back end. So he just let it run straight on, and then when he got a bit of grip, got it slowed down enough, he turned through off the escape road.
So Christian Engelhardt driving for the Conrad Motorsport concern, of course, who have had so much success in Porsche racing over the years. And Franz Conrad, an ever-present here, and he'll be delighted with how Christian Engelhardt is driving at the moment, leading by 1.2 over Sven Muller. Then it's Ammer Muller, then it's Bamber, Enger and Zöckling in P6. Rolf Innisch in there in car number 29 is another one of those Conrad Motorsport cars that sits right atop the B category. And there you can see we think, returning Antti Biri just going through on the picture, but that is Rolf Innisch in there. It's 99, Antti Biri, who we feel is the one that went off. Fabian Thune gets out of the way of Rolf Innisch as he continues his quest up the order. By far and away the leader in the B category, and in the points for the B category as well. He certainly leads at 132 over Ralph Bone, who's P2 in the B category points on 116.
Yeah, in fact, that was Innisch getting ahead of Thune for position as well, so that puts you up to 19th place. Alleman's got by Thune as well to 20th, so there is Daniel Alleman.
Yep.
The white car with the green stripes. He's second in Class B now, and having made his way ahead of Fabian Thune, who's pretty much stayed where he started, 21st. Another one runs wide down into the hairpin.
Quite a few drivers getting it wrong there, aren't they? Just carrying too much speed in there. So Engelhardt Muller, then Ammer Muller, who I just get the impression here that Muller is beginning to lose out to Ammer Muller as Project One team boss looks on, and another mistake from Project One car.
Yeah, Sven Muller is about to lose another place here, down to 3rd he'll go. So nice big lead now for that man, Christian Engelhardt. Michael Ammer Muller is the one that benefits through to 2nd place. Down to 3rd is Muller, and Bamber just a couple of lengths back there. The white and black car running in 4th place, and he's pulled away in turn from Christopher Zöckling, who is there in... Sorry, Philip Enger, then Christopher Zöckling, who are there in 5th and 6th places.
Well, Ammer Muller was beginning to reel Sven Muller in, and then Sven just gave him a huge helping hand, didn't he? So... all change in that position, and the next down the order is Earl Bamber, then Philip Enger, who think will start his charge pretty quickly to get on terms. It was interesting watching those cars as we see the replay here of this is Rolf Inishin making a very, very rare mistake.
And then with Alleman comes through then on him for position. Just misses the wall, doesn't he? He almost lost his mirror there. Just about got it turned in time, didn't he?
Now, I was going to go on to say it's really interesting, having watched one of those shots, how those drivers are keeping off those paving slabs effectively as Ralph Bone is into the pit lane, because it is causing the back end to step out, isn't it?
Yeah, where it's in the dry, they're aiming for it,
absolutely. And we've seen what happens in slow-mo there when you do get onto that paved area rather than on the tarmac.
Well, after being involved in that bit of a tangle up on, what was it, about lap 3 down at the Grundy hairpin, the championship leader, Conor De Filippi, the American driver, still stuck down in 17th place, is stuck down with a problem again, is Ralph Inishin. He's lost the tyre on the front left corner, so the tyre has come loose. It's a puncture, it's just popped off the rim through contact.
I think it was through that contact, yeah.
So he's got to limp back to the pits now, and it doesn't look like the man who's been winning most of the Class B races this year is going to do it. Off in the side of the picture he went, as there was a separate incident here between Tuna and Alleman.
He just attacked Alleman there, didn't he? Well, it's going to be extraordinary to see a B-class podium without Rolf Inishin at the top of it. But it looks like that might be the way.
And
oh, that's Wolf Nathan there, getting a little bit ambitious into that hairpin.
That's just in front of the other incident that we've already seen the replay of. And in the distance you saw, or the background you saw Inishin going off. It looked like he'd already had the tyre off the rim at that point, the way he went straight on at the hairpin. So in with damage, no surprise. Yeah. It's Fabian Tuna. Came off worse with that one, didn't he? In the background, that looks like Inishin's finally made it back to the pits.
So whilst all that is going on, Engelhardt, Ammermuller, Muller, Bamber, Enger P5, Zochling P6, Riberas. As in now comes that, and there is Franz Conrad, who's to the very right of the picture there now. Presumably, no, they're not even going to try.
The wheel's buckled in, isn't it?
Yeah, my goodness me.
Did well to get it back to the pits, really. So Rolf Inishin, the amateur class leader, he's not going to pick up any points today. Alleman has a chance to get a victory within the category. Rolf Inishin has had 6 out of 7 before this event. He'd won, and Ralph Bone had won the other one. So if Daniel Alleman can win this one, it'll be his first victory in the class this season.
So I don't think we have. I think it's raining at the moment, but the track is certainly not drying out, really, is it? In comparison to what we saw yesterday.
It's very damp still, and there are certain parts like down at the hairpin where there's still quite a bit of surface water. There are parts of the section on the course where that surface water has been mopped up to some extent. You get the high overhead shots. You can see that there's a line beginning to form, but it's a less wet line. It's certainly not a drying line yet.
So the S's there that these Porsches, and this is where they're keeping off that paved area now. They're sticking to the tarmac, aren't they? Because they know that once they put just one tyre onto that paved area, that's going to send the back end out. There is Christian Engelhardt then around the hairpin. Then it's Ammer Muller, then Muller, and then Earl Bamber and Philip Enger, P5.
Yes, there's very little to choose between the lap times between the top 6. They're all doing 58.7s, 58.8s by and large. In fact, now they go through and they're into the 58.6s. So it's drying up, but only slightly. Michael Ammermuller there, not that far ahead of Sven Muller. He's coming back at him and he's being pushed along here, hurried along by Earl Bamber, isn't he?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the motivation for that is the fact that Earl Bamber is really pushing as well.
Super wide lines from Christopher Zirkling there, but he doesn't lose any positions because of it. You do tempt people up the inside though if you leave the door open like that, don't you?
Yeah, you do. And Pieter Schothurst we can see there in the McGregor car. There's Robert Lucas, Forge Motorsport. Again, all those drivers just hugging the tarmac rather than running off too far onto that paved area. Pieter Schothurst goes through. Now there is Ralph Bone. And Nicholas Kentinish right behind him. Nicholas Kentinish, of course, GT racer. He's moving up a place now. exemplar ahead of him.
Schreier in 14th place. Sort of lost touch with the pack there, all out on his own as he goes across the start-finish line. He's made a bit of space up. He's Mike Halder. He's gone from 15th to 9th, so he's had a pretty good run of it.
I think it was Lucas Schreier, wasn't it, that was involved with Christian Engelhardt yesterday, which saw Engelhardt end up just glancing one of the tyre barriers. Certainly having a better time of it today, isn't he? Leading this race, got a margin of some 2.6 seconds over Michael Ammermuller. And Sven Muller and Earl Bamber, as we see, go through there to the right-hand side of your picture. As get a replay here, and Hans Bernd Kamps showing the nerves and the anxiety as the race gets underway.
De Filippi actually made a very good start off the line. Got himself up to 5th, maybe 6th by the time we got to the hairpin from 9th on the grid. It was a couple of laps later when we got tangled up. There was just 3 or 4 cars trying to fit onto the same piece of tarmac. And just see how tight it is there. I mean, there's, you know, you got to look at what everybody else is doing more than what you're doing in the corner there.
A huge pack for them all to get through there unscathed was remarkable.
It was. Bamber's just dropped back a bit, hasn't he? Was breathing down Sven Muller's neck a lap ago. Maybe struggling at the start of the lap, but by the time we get here, look, he's better on the brakes. You see the Porsche dancing around there as he gets on the throttle here. Pretty hairy through this kink as well. Really easy to broadside through there. There is Bamber in 4th position. They're not really making an impression at the moment to get himself up onto the podium. Sven Muller there in 3rd place, the pole sitter. Want to win from pole, but with the 2nd and the 3rd, he'll be fairly happy as Alex Riberas outbrakes himself. Not the first time down.
I was going to say, that's almost a carbon copy of what he did a couple of laps ago, isn't it?
And now he's completely lost touch with Christopher Zosling there. So there he is, number 88, Riberas. Still in 7th place, but he's lost over a second, I would say, as a result of that.
Alex Riberas driving for the Herring by Attento Racing Team. The Attento Racing Team run by the very colourful Arkin Acker, Turkish team boss. And again, Riberas not taking the perfect line through there. He wasn't as wide as he had been previously.
A little bit ragged from Riberas. And just looking at the lap times between the top two, Ammermuller is catching the race leader Christian Engelhardt. He's taken about 3/4 of a second out of the leader over the last couple of laps, so the gap's 1.3 seconds. So Engelhardt still with work to do here. About halfway into the race, so still a long way for him to defend this. The track is getting quicker, Dave.
Yes, just saw going through Norbert Siedler, the guy that's down in P13. We've seen Siedler drive in so many Porsche races, but really not having a good time of it here at the Norisring this weekend. Norbert Siedler down there, P13. There is Daniel Alleman then, the Team GT3 Casco driver with the Jost Abrasives logo from Dominic Jost, of course, down the right-hand side of the car. And, well, Christian Engelhardt, just looking at the timing screen, has lost a huge bunch of time now to Ammermuller.
Yeah, there is Alleman then, the Class speed leader. I think it's Antti Burry behind him, which means that Anti's made up a few places on this.
Look at the damage on the corner of Burry's car.
Yeah. So the 2012 Formula Ford champion of Great Britain, the Finnish driver, still going along and dragging bits of bodywork with him, but not really slowing down. This is teammate Michelle Gatting, and here's a move from the recovering Sean Johnson, who's had a couple of moments in this race. He just about squeezes up the inside and gets ahead of Elliot Earhart there with a good move down the inside. So he's on a charge, but still a long, long way down the order.
Now, do you think the loss of time from Engelhardt is due to backmarking traffic?
Well, they both had to go through the traffic, and it's been consistently coming down that gap. I think Michael Ammermuller is just adapting to the drying track better than Engelhardt. Now, whether that's the driver or whether the setup of the car has is working better now that it's drying out for Ammermuller. But there he is in the black, white and red car, number 25, Michael Ammermuller, yesterday's winner. The Volta Lechner racing team, very emotional when he got his first win yesterday. It might be about to get his second win because he's reeled in Christian Engelhardt there in the number 8 car. He's got the gap down from nearly 2.5 seconds at one point down now to just a few tenths.
So as we look at the Volta Lechner pit perch there, they will have their fingers and everything else crossed, I should think, as Ammermuller now is right on the back of Christian Engelhardt. Engelhardt equally has got to fight his way through this back-marking traffic now, which is holding him up, and that's allowing Ammermuller to get right on terms with him. What Engelhardt can ill afford to do here is to be really hurt by one of these back-marking cars, and Ammermuller is just going to be able to perhaps take advantage of that. He's certainly worrying Christian Engelhardt. Took another 10th out of him last lap around. It was 3 tenths the gap there as Bill Barrazetti goes for a spin. Now this could have huge consequences.
Right in front of the race leader. Just about did it. Just
now what that has done is, well, the whole pack has bunched up now because Sven Muller and Earl Bamber. Now Ammermuller is going to find himself having to defend now from Sven Muller. That half spin from Bill Barrazetti, who was trying to get out of the way as a back-marking car. Well, it's let Engelhardt off the hook a little bit because now Ammermuller is rearview mirror is full of that Sven Muller car.
Yes, Ammermuller versus Muller, and then right behind them you got Earl Bamber there in 4th place. And pretty quickly as well, but 4 seconds behind him is Philip Enger in 5th position with Zokli in 6th. Riveras down to 7th place now. And Mike Halder continuing his good run from 15th up to 8th place now. All back markers get out of the way. You can see how bumpy the circuit is here down on that run to turn 1. Down to the slowest corner on the lap. Ammermuller making sure that he gets past the back marker, and be fairly easy for Muller and Bamber to follow him through.
Just in the exit of that corner, Muller getting very, very sideways. So Engelhardt there in P1, seeing through the S's now. Then it's Ammermuller P2. Then it is Sven Muller P3 with Earl Bamber right on the tail of Sven Muller. And Philip Enger, you can see just into the back of the shot there in P5.
Yeah, Enger in the Austrian driver in the yellow number 12 Deutsche Post car. Took a second out of that lead group as they struggled with the traffic, because he's got some traffic to deal with himself now. But at least the back markers will be aware that the quicker cars are coming through. A bit harder for the first ones up to the back markers, because they're not necessarily looking for the quick cars coming through. Once the leader comes past, they'll be aware that they need to keep an eye on the mirrors. Really
interesting watching Earl Bamber, who's driving through the wetter parts of the track. Now, is that so that he's keeping his tyres operating better, perhaps because on the drying line that's beginning to appear? Just wonder whether he's using that strategy to keep those tyres cool and not overheat them for the sort of final third of this race.
Yeah, exactly. If they overheat, they won't work at all well, and it gets a bit tricky when the circuit gets greasy and damp, because with drivers running wide and dragging all sorts back onto the circuit, the rain's not really clearing that stuff away anymore. You get bits of body work, bits of rubber, bits of dirt coming onto the track, and it can be tricky. Not so much at a street circuit, because there are no gravel tracks and no grassy areas, but certainly it can be very tricky, just as tricky as when it's properly wet.
And there you can see just how Bamber is going out wide, isn't he, to keep that water across those tyres. Engelhardt then. And Engelhardt has made a big mistake there, hasn't he? And that has allowed the first of the train to come through. So Michael Ammermuller, well, he was gifted that opportunity from Christian Engelhardt, who just went into that a bit too deep, didn't he? And now Sven Muller taking advantage as well. So in the space of but a few hundred metres, Christian Engelhardt has lost 2 places, and is he going to lose another one, because Earl Bamber looking ever so aggressive as well?
He's struggling, isn't he? That was very similar to the move 10 minutes ago when Engelhardt was gifted the lead by Muller at the time at the same corner. This time it's Engelhardt that's really struggling with those tyres now, and Earl Bamber will be desperate to get past as quickly as he can, because already the top 2 are leaving him for dead. Here's a replay of the move. Just went too deep, too wide into the corner. You've only got a brake a couple of centimetres later than normal, and you go wide and you end to steer off.
Back end just got away from him a little bit under braking, didn't it? And well, Muller didn't need much more of an invitation, did he?
It's a good move from Muller as well into the shoulder S's to pounce, wasn't it, and get in the place as well. To put the former race leader Engelhardt down to 3rd place now. So we had 3 different leaders. It's the one that went yesterday, though. Michael Muller, number 25 there that leads. Sven Muller, number 14 in 2nd, then a back marker. Then Engelhardt and Bamber now battling over this 3rd place. Bamber's got to go for it here. Whoa, just about squeezes through. You don't see many moves there through the second part of the S's. He drifts it out of the corner. And that was a great move because they get so close to the barriers there. And Enger's now with them, looking the number 12 car. The Deutsche Post machine trying to get through now. Really struggling here is Engelhardt. Knows he's in front, does Philipp Enger, but has he got a bit wide? There's yellow flags as well. They've got to be cautious of that. They came into the corner together. They go out of the corner together, Dave.
Yeah, this is really, really lively, isn't it? So side by side between Philipp Enger and Christian Engelhardt here. Engelhardt just with his nose in front. Enger stays committed, or does he? Engelhardt is going to have the right line into this turn. Enger carries more speed, and wow. Well, Christian Engelhardt having a torrid time of it now.
Yeah, Enger had to stand on the brakes there to make that move work, didn't he, from the wrong line, from the outside line.
But it did work, didn't it?
It did.
Extraordinary. Franz Conrad and the Conrad Motorsport team there will be disappointed to see Christian Engelhardt just dropping down the order like a stone. And you know what? It's been so dramatic, and you know Christian Engelhardt is such a good driver. I wonder if there is perhaps something wrong with that car. I mean, he's not so slow that perhaps a slowly deflating tyre, maybe just something.
It might just be that the way they've set the car up and the pressures on the tyres, they'd hope for the continued rain. They got it set up for maybe properly wet conditions. One or two might have gambled on a slightly drying track,
maybe,
given the length of the race. It's just, I mean, the car's just not turning in where he wants and when he wants it to. It's not ridiculously slower, is he? But he is 2 or 3 tenths slower, which is the difference.
Yeah, it is. It's 2 or 3 tenths that he's losing, isn't it? Well, an exciting phase of the race then that sees Amar Muller lead from Muller, and it is Earl Bamber. And then Philipp Enger, we see there the back end of that Philipp Enger car. There's Amar Muller, who's up the road like a train, isn't he? With 1.9 over Sven Muller in P2. This, though, is Philipp Enger. He is wrestling that car around this drying 2.3-kilometre Norisring circuit.
Having finished 4th and been right on the tail of Christopher Zögling for the whole race yesterday, Philipp Enger would not want to be missing out on a podium again, so he's giving it everything here to try and close the gap to Earl Bamber. But you're absolutely right about the race leader, Michael Muller. He's getting away now. He's put a couple of really good laps in here. It was half a second quicker than his pursuer Sven Muller on the previous lap, and he's a tenth quicker on that lap as well. So he's giving himself a bit of breathing space. We look at Daniel Alleman, who leads Class B now, and he's got a few cars in between himself and the rest of the pack. So looking good for his first class win of the season.
Yes, driver number 22 actually on track in P22, but leading the B category, as you so rightly say, as we see Sean Johnston there, who in car number 15 is down in P23. Then it's Michel Gatting in the Attempto car number 77. Jochen Haberts, and there you can see the damage on the Uponor-sponsored Wolf Nathan car. We saw Wolf Nathan with an ambitious move into the hairpin earlier in the race, and that was the resultant damage from that.
Yeah, still looking for a podium there. Still very greasy out there. There's not a great deal of surface water on the line now, is there? There's not a great deal of spray being thrown up here. A bit deep into the corner there was Elia Earhart. Number 14 there, the yellow and red car of the American driver Sean Johnson. He's quite a bit quicker than the group ahead. He's been recovering from near the back of the field after a moment and then a spin earlier on in the race.
Sven Muller gets the front end just lit up a little bit there, and Earl Bamber is not that far behind him. So what have we got? Some 6 laps left to run in this race, and Earl Bamber taking a completely different line all the way around this circuit to everybody else. And whether he can wrestle away that P2 position from Sven Muller, well, only time will tell. The remaining 5 laps or so. Michel Gatting there is in P24. As through goes Michael Muller. Now Michel Gatting becomes a back-marking car, doesn't she? And a feisty racer, if ever there was one, is Michelle Gatting. She'll certainly allow them to go through, but this is where these front-running cars come up against traffic, and how they can negotiate their way through the traffic makes such a difference to the end result for them. Emma Muller with a 2.4 second advantage over Sven Muller.
Bill Barazetti really struggling to get through that hairpin again. He's had 2 or 3 moments like that there in the red and black car, number 19. Jim Pla now trying to get through, trying to lap him. Jim in 10th position. And the French driver should go through. There's a real art in being a backmarker, because you've got your own battles that you try and win, and ideally you want to let the quicker cars through without losing any time. So you want them to come past you on the straights. So sometimes they might find themselves digging in a bit, not letting people through going into a corner, just so that they can make sure they don't have to get off the throttle and let them pass them, and the quicker cars will then get past them on the straights.
Well, through has gone Nicholas Kentenish, and as we cross back to our race leader, Michael Ammermuller. There he is in, well, it's going to be a fantastic weekend for him if it stays this way. And there is Sven Muller. And Earl Bamber still keeping with Sven Muller, and Earl Bamber taking a completely different line, and a line that has really worked as he takes Sven Muller. That was a class move from Earl Bamber. He lined that up perfectly, didn't he? Yeah,
he saw the back marker, saw the blue car of Michelle Gatting. He realised that if he took a wider line, he wouldn't get quite so delayed. Sven Muller, I think, wasn't able to get on the throttle when he wanted to, with the back marker just where he wanted to be going through the hairpin. So a good bit of opportunistic overtaking there from Earl Bamber in the number 20 car. Ooh. Back marker's nearly running into the back of Sven Muller there. That was a close moment, and in between Philipp Enger.
So I think that was earlier Earhart we saw with that nearly running in, but that was how, well, he just sussed that absolutely perfectly. There's the Elia Earhart running very nearly into the back of those cars, but getting out of the way. But Earl Bamber just getting that on the previous turn absolutely right, didn't he? And used that backmarking Michelle Gatting car absolutely to his advantage.
Yeah, very clever move from Earl. So he's on for his first podium since the first weekend of the season, where he had a first and a third at Hockenheim. The results haven't flowed really since then. So some non-point scoring finishes, a couple of fifths, and then was yesterday in 5th place again. So we're delighted to be back on the podium. And now Philipp Enger might be one to keep an eye on as well in the closing stages, although he's not making that much of an impression in 4th place. How far back is he?
That will help seconds. The impression.
Yes, absolutely. Struggling again now on the way into the hairpin. There's Christopher Zöckling and Alex Riberas. They are currently running in 6th and 7th positions.
So Sven Muller getting it all terribly wrong there, and that allowed Philipp Enger to get closer than he'd been for a little while. There is the Porsche Junior, Alex Riberas, who's struggling with the back end of the car. You could just see off the first part of the S's there where the back end stepped out a little bit, controlled by Alex Riberas. And Zöckling there in the Conrad Motorsport car goes through our picture now. This is Alex Riberas in the matte blue car, but this is our race leader with an incredible margin over the pack behind. It was 3.9, it's now 4.8.
And although Christopher Zöckling doesn't look like he's going to get on the podium again, he already moved up to 2nd in the championship yesterday, and he's taken more points out of Conor De Filippi in this race, who is only progressed up to 16th place. I suspect he's either carrying damage or he's just not got to grips with these conditions around this circuit.
That previous shot when we saw Sven Muller around the turn, I think Philipp Enger made a mistake and ran off into the runoff area. I think that was the just the back end of the shot that we saw, but it is the final lap, and Philipp Enger certainly has lost a whole heap of time. He was very, very close to Muller previously, and he's lost time now, so his charge to try and get up onto the podium, I fear, is going to be as naught now. Michael Ammermuller then, what a weekend it's been for him at the street circuit here. The 2.3 kilometre Norisring circuit has been really, really good to him as he takes another win. The checkered flag comes down on Michael Ammermuller.
Fantastic drive that. He just left them, didn't he, in the last 5 laps of the race. And it wasn't that long ago he got the lead, and he's won it by 5.2 seconds. So that car seemed to be working really well as the track dried out. Maybe he looked after his tyres a bit better than some of the others as well. but he was just hooked up, wasn't he, for that final 10 minutes or so of the race, and it was a matter of time. Once he started to reel Christian Engelhardt in, it was a matter of time before he got the lead. And what he did very well was once he got the lead, he got his head down and pulled the gap while the others had to deal with getting through to second place.
So we're watching the honours for the B category now. Daniel Alaman in car number 22 heads towards the flag. And Daniel Alaman then going to cross the line P21 in the race overall, but will take the honours in the B category. And I just think, going back to Amma Muller's incredible performance towards the later stages of that race, I think what you'd identified earlier on was absolutely right. They'd gone for a sort of a compromise setup, hadn't they? Gambling on the track drying out, and that really did make the difference. So Michael Ammermuller, Earl Bamber, and Sven Muller, the 1, 2, 3.